we have for you now is one of two new ads put out by the Republican National Committee to target millennials. Now, the problems that the Republican Party is having with young people are well documented. And the best chance that the Republicans have in this off-year election is that young people do not come out to the polls because basically, which would be consistent. Young people, minorities, they don't tend to come out to the polls on an off-year election, let's say, like old people do. And, old white people who fear that their civilization is their culture is sort of slipping out of their hands. And soon you'll have gays living next door and, I guess African Americans becoming doctors. Who knows what they're concerned about?
You trip over your gay neighbor on the way to your black doctor.
That's right.
And then you get your Medicare refund fixed by your Hispanic accountant. And then you call India to figure everything out on tech support. It's a terrifying world.
Terrifying world for them. And somebody, of course, will take away their guns. And so they have reached out to millennials. And they've done it through a new ad campaign. This one features a guy named Scott Greenberg, who we don't know anything about him, at least through the video. All we know is he is wearing a leather jacket.
It's just like whatever. He's cool.
He's got the horn rim glasses. He looks sort of like me, but he's a little grittier. Looking,
I think you're not operating on that level.
No. And of course, I'm older. I'm considerably older. I'm not a millennial, but he's sitting in a car, probably like a Chevy Neo or something like that. I don't know what it was called. And the really odd thing about this is that the camera is shooting him through the window. The car is stopped. And instead of looking at the camera, for some reason, he's looking either in the rearview mirror or just simply out the front windshield as he tells us this.
I shouldn't have to check my bank account before I fill up my car, but so much of my paycheck ends up going to gas, and we haven't even talked about my heating bill at home. So when it comes to energy policy for this country, I'm for everything. Solar, wind, shale gas, oil, whatever. I'm a Republican because we should have an all-of-the-above energy policy.
Now, for some reason, he's looking somewhere else, and I'm going to do this so that I can talk to you millennials out there. Because my understanding, and those of you who are looking on YouTube, I want to talk to you millennials, and I mean you. First off, if you've heard that all of the above strategy, you'll know that it's actually President Obama's policy. But even though it's President Obama's policy, let me tell you why it's wrong. Your gas prices are in no way affected whatsoever by anything that he said. They are a function of A, world market, and B, refining capacity. We have a limited refining capacity in this country, and contrary to what Scott doesn't mention, is that it's not a function of regulation, it's simply a function of dollars. There is no economic incentive for private companies to build billions of dollars new refineries when they know they can push the price of gas up with their limited refining capacity. In fact, the Keystone XL pipeline, for instance, because that's going to tie up refining processes to ship oil across the ocean, it's considered likely to raise the price of gas. So that's A. But B, fracking whatevs? I mean, come on, guy.
All right. First of all, dude, I do appreciate how you're not looking at me while we're talking. So I do understand what you're saying.
It's the way you communicate with millennials.
I feel much more I've never felt more comfortable talking with you now that you're vaguely looking at me in the corner of your eye. So I know you're sincere.
Now, you're over there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know you're
sincere,
sincere, and obviously I'm not looking at you because I'm trying to have a heart-to-heart with you. But what you don't understand, dude, is you just gave me a lot of, like, facts and figures and whatever. But I want all of the above. I don't want to have to make choices.
What evs, man? You don't know anything about millennials.
You don't have any understanding of how we work, and you don't have any understanding of what my friends are going through, which is what Scott got to in the next ad.
Yeah. So in the next ad, this guy, Scott, who apparently was driving or at least parked in his car in a gas station, presumably, looking out the window while talking to a camera that was to his left, is now also continuing the tradition that millennials and the sort of the vernacular that millennials have, which is you never look somebody in the eye when you're talking to him. Here he is filling up his gas at his car at a gas station, looking for some reason just a little bit off to camera left again. Here he is.
I feel pretty lucky to have a job. So many people I know are unemployed, and it's like their lives are stuck in neutral. So I get ticked off at politicians who say they want to help the unemployed and then vote for regulations that make it impossible to hire anyone. Listen, you can't help the unemployed by hurting the people that could employ them. I'm a Republican because my friends need a paycheck, not an empty promise.
All right, again, let me address you millennials right now, and I'm doing so by looking off to the left of the camera so that you really get my message. First off, now you all remember in 2008 when that huge wave of regulation came and knocked everybody out of their jobs and made it so hard for people to get jobs. What? You don't? Oh, that's because there wasn't a huge wave of regulation.
There was a lot
and that's not what caused people to lose their jobs. And in fact, regulation doesn't inhibit hiring, at least if you go by any study. But hey, you're a millennial. You like to look off camera. You don't worry about studies like that. And thank God for those regulations at that gas station, or some dude next to you might be smoking a cigarette and throwing it on the ground where there'd be a pool of gas because there's no regulation on what you can do. If only they would allow the gas stations to use those cheaper nozzles and allow people to smoke there, then you'd have more people getting hired as tobacco pickers and also more cleanup crews for the huge explosion that would take place at that gas station. And then, of course, there are regulations that may hurt job makers, but actually may create more jobs. You could raise taxes on them and actually provide money for unemployed people. You could say, hey, you know, those big tax breaks you're getting, you're going to get them if you hire more people. I mean, there's just a myriad of regulations that could actually help. So it's not just the regulations, but whatevs. You're a millennial. You don't have to worry about that stuff. Just keep pumping your gas. Oh, and screw over your friends who could use unemployment insurance, but you're a Republican. You don't want that.
Some traditions don't change. But that ad did not have the balls to say the main Republican policy on unemployment right now, which, as you say, is to block unemployment benefits and also block doing anything about the unemployment crisis. Exactly. I think you're starting to get it.